Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting...
When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust rowpaint.com to get that job done right.
It's Truck Month. It's our favorite month of the year at Lithia Ford of Boise. Time to pick up savings, pick up power, pick up fun. And the best place to pick up yours? Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Canned Cocktails is perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
What's up, Bronco Nation? Welcome back to the Riley and Ridge Show. We're excited to be back here. I'm Riley Smith, former Boise State tight end, here with legendary football coach Kent Riddle. We're excited to be back. The boys got a little spring break, but now they're back in all the action, so we're excited to get into it. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Leave questions in the comments, and we'll answer them throughout the scene, and we'll dive into it. So let's get after it.
Yeah, it's great to be back. Unfortunately, we're not sitting around the kitchen table this time with Cameron's cooking, but we'll get back to that here in the next week or two when you get back to Boise. Riley, that's probably a good thing to start with. So you're back home in Jacksonville. I'm actually in Salt Lake tonight, but obviously you're back at home. What Bronco memories do you have from that house right there?
I got a lot. I mean, my favorite, I would say, is when Harsin and Coach Hill both flew out, and they came. I know it was a long journey, so I knew it was tough for them to get on the road, but I told them that they were going to be out here and get some good sun while they could. But they came in, and this is where I committed to be a Boise State Bronco, and that was 6 years ago. And so it's been a great ride since then. But yeah, definitely had some legendary coaches in this house, and it was definitely a huge moment. And even before that, I would say when I was younger in this house, I was watching Kellen Moore tear it up on the blue back in the day with my dad. We would grind out late ESPN Boise State football games. So it's been bleeding blue in this house for a long time.
Absolutely. And that was late. So, yeah, you get an award for that. 10 p.m. kickoff minimum. So,
yeah, my parents love that for sure.
Unfortunately, we weren't recruiting as a tight end then, because the one thing coaches always fail to mention is always better to go recruit in warm weather than cold weather. Less flight delays, less traffic issues, all that stuff. So I'm disappointed. We didn't know you were a tight end at that point, but I certainly think we figured that out and you figured it out way too late to be a part of the recruiting process. But yeah, we knew you were a special person and knew you'd be a great asset to the program. We just thought it'd be like, in a little bit different deal, but being the person you are, there's no question we found the right role for you and one of the true great Broncos. And, I hope everybody that's listening to this, and maybe not live, but seen it later, understands the type of person that is and how many other guys in the program, make sacrifices and do other things to help Broncos grow and be a part of what they are. So I think that's a huge deal. But, just fired up to do that. And like Riley said, would love to get some questions. But, This has been a big week. We're coming off of spring break. I think the big news story probably this week wasn't even so much the guys getting back to practice, which we'll talk about a little bit here in a minute, but really about Pro Day. Riley's obviously in Florida. I was in Boise. Got to see most of it, not all of it, but I know the guys were represented there by some of the guys playing in the NFL. Scott, Shaq were there. I saw Matt Paradis there. Like Nate Potter's there. I mean, so Matt Miller, some of these guys that got to suit up in the NFL a little bit and be a part of it. But I thought the guys did an outstanding job. Kudos to the support staff. Let's start with Dale Holste.
Come on, Dale.
Getting all that organized and his staff, those guys did an amazing job organizing it. One of the big things when you got 30 plus NFL scouts and coaches and all that coming into town is like staying on time. And, because those guys got flights, they got schedules built, all that stuff. And, to see such an efficiently run operation was great. And then to see the Broncos, and we had some C of I and Idaho State guys there, but to see, especially the Broncos really performing, really peak performance. And I know a lot of those guys train there at Boise State with the strength staff with Coach Hildegard and, all that. I think he did an amazing job. But I think the big question really, and I'm going to defer to Riley on this, is what's going on with Billy. He was having an amazing day. I had seen some of the numbers from some of the scouts and those guys talking about him, and then just an unfortunate break, getting hurt. But I think Riley and I both talked to Billy and know he's doing well. But I'll let Riley fill everybody in, kind of where we're at on that.
Yeah. So first of all, me and Billy we're tight, man. We're roommates out in Boise. And he was training in Boise. So I knew I got to see his daily grind, and it was impressive. They had him swimming laps for training. And if anyone knows anything about Billy, is he hates swimming, and he was doing it. He was grinding, and it was cool to see how much work he put in. And it was just awesome to see all that work. And it is devastating that that happened at the end. But he had an unbelievable day, and it was so cool to watch him perform. And I'm sad that I wasn't able to be out there in Boise, but I was on FaceTime with my friends and getting videos, trying to just keep track of all those guys. And it was unfortunate that he got hurt at the end. I know he got an MRI done today. Not sure exactly how it turned out or when he's going to release to everybody exactly what happened, but keep him in your prayers for sure, because he definitely had a great day, and he deserves to be on a team. I know if he would get a shot after that for sure, and I know a lot of those guys too definitely will. But it is tough for Billy. But I know he's one of those guys. You know how he is. He takes the positive in every situation, and he'll flip and he'll make the most out of it, and figure out a way to be successful in the end, no matter what. So it is unfortunate, but it was awesome to see all that training pay off and see how good he did and the numbers he put up. And then the rest of the guys like George and Static coming off of his surgery almost at the end of the season and running routes the way he did was unbelievable to watch. And
Kate Beresford was really good.
Yeah. Ethan, Kobe, all those guys were tearing it up. It was fun to watch.
I thought all those guys, put their best foot forward and did a nice job. And, the hard thing about the NFL is it doesn't so much matter, as much as you want to talk about hey, I put my best forward, my best foot forward, and that was my best performance. It's just really hard because you're competing against everybody, everywhere. And
that's the best.
Yeah. So, it might have been your best day, but maybe that wasn't exactly what they were looking for. And I just thought everybody's performance, like you said, they represented themselves well. They represented the guys that are training them well. George really didn't do anything other than position drills,
right?
But he looked phenomenal in those. I think that's going to be a big deal going forward. None of these guys, I don't feel like my man Bo Engroff. I got to give a shout out to Bo in the background there, little guy in the Dolphins jersey. He PR'd in every event that day. So very excited to see that. Bo does the pro day every year. But his dad happens to be the director of college scouting for the Miami Dolphins. So that's why he's there and lives in Boise. But
so I think somebody else PR'd that day too on their vert. I think it was Ball Game went in and he PR'd.
Johnny Ball Game did come up with 20 inches. Yes.
It's impressive.
Yes. So very excited to see that.
He probably won't do that again.
I hope he retires on that number. Because trust me, Ball Game's not getting any younger. I don't expect to see that go up anytime soon.
Awesome.
No, I was really impressed. Like I said, with the guys, I think everybody did an awesome job. I thought the organization was outstanding. And then, I think Spencer made a couple. Oh, there we go. There's Shaq up there.
AVB. And it is cool to watch those guys too, because every year I've been and when you're in that room, it is dead silent. And you're dialed in, focused, and watching these guys go out and, like you said, put their best foot forward. And there's a lot of pressure on the line, and they go and they execute, and that fires me up, because I can just tell how much pressure's on them when they're going, just how quiet it is, and you have all these scouts, and this feels like your only shot to live out your dream. But then they go out and they just dominate. Like, a lot of respect to those guys, and for my teammates that did this watching, I'm so proud of them, and it was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, and I think like you said earlier, the biggest news out of it was what happened to Billy. He was obviously having an outstanding day. I know impressed the heck out of all the scouts, all that. And then, such an unfortunate deal. But, I saw an interview with Spencer, I think today after practice, and he was talking about Billy's a what's next guy. And, I talked to Billy that night, I'm sure as you did. And, I think a lot of people did, because Billy's just one of those infectious personalities, and everybody wants the best for him. Let me just tell you, that guy is taking it better than anybody could ever imagine. Even the people that know him would expect that for him. For all the hard work he put in, like, he knows whatever the cards turn, he'll make the most of it. And, hopefully we're all hoping it's something minor.
Yeah.
If it is a little bit more than that, it won't matter. He'll make the most of it. So,
yeah, he handles it well. I mean, he took it better than I took it. He had to calm me down. I was so frustrated for him. And he's like, dude, what happens next? It's in God's hands. I'm just moving forward, going to make the most out of it. So he's one of those guys. So whatever he does next, he's going to be balling out. And it was just cool to see those guys. And like I said, like guys like Static coming off of injuries and stuff, going out and performing.
He was awesome. Yeah.
Awesome. He looks smooth. Like, this route right here fires me up.
Yep.
The ball.
You wouldn't know that the guy hadn't hardly run full speed until then. And then, George obviously doing his thing.
Yep.
Cade Beresford, like I said, Ethan.
Oh, yeah.
Toby,
they all dominated. Oh, here we go.
Oh.
Here's the PR of the day.
What do we think, 10, 12? What's the
I feel like Ball Game did the deal where you short arm it.
You short arm it. That's what I would have done.
That's a veteran move.
That is a vet move.
The rookies go and try and show everybody how they can extend their arm. Because that's kind of cool. Like, oh, I can reach up that high, and then you realize that hurts you when you jump. So,
yeah. For those watching, when you put your hand up, they measure it, and the higher you reach your hand, the higher they put the little taps.
Look at that! Look at that. I mean,
It's
he
impressive.
got the bottom deal.
He did. I heard they were betting over under of what he was going to hit. So I'm
My man
glad he
Bo
touched something.
Ingroff double or nothing with one of the guys and came out even. Thank God.
That fires me up.
So
in the comments, Dayton said, "What's the toughest drill to train for showcase during the pro day?" And I think that's tough for me. I would say it's the 40-yard dash because I feel like that holds the most importance during it. And it's so technical and scientific. Like when we run for football, we don't really think of necessarily your get out. I mean, you do to an extent, but it's so different coming out of that stance and just running 40 yards vertical because not many people do that in the sport of football besides maybe receivers. So I would say personally for me, that would be the hardest and the most important. And that's why you have so many good coaches that break down the splits and you're starting off just with starts and then working flying 20s and then just slowly working your way up. So it's like, I know talking to Billy and those guys, like Billy cooked it. He's a track guy. So he was like, it's like I'm back in high school, but I think that's impressive for me.
I think the pro agility because it seems so simple.
Yeah.
And you can make up so much time if you're efficient in the turns.
Yeah.
And it all sounds great. Like this is the coach in me a little bit, like the 40, the pro agility, like all that stuff. I don't want it to be so technical. I just want to see what you can do.
Yeah, just your natural talent, right?
And it'll be interesting over the next few years, kind of, to see if there's a diminishing effect of the combine numbers type thing with pro day, because now everybody has all the data from the GPS. So.
Right.
If you want to know how fast the guy goes from 0 to full speed, if you want to know what his top speed is, I think you can get that much easier. So my gut feeling is down the road, the combine numbers are going to go down because I think they are a little bit artificial, for lack of a better term, because, so many guys train for that stuff and it's like, well, that's great, but you don't actually play that fast.
Right. And when you got the GPS on and you're wearing pads, that's a lot different than
or a guy like
running with nothing
that nobody ever catches in the open field, or nobody ever. It's like, well, I don't know what to tell you, but his game speed's faster than his 40 speed.
Yeah,
and I think Marvin Harrison Jr. maybe started that a little bit this year.
Yeah,
like, hey, I'm training for football. I'm not training for track. 100%. So I think it'll be interesting, especially with the addition of the GPS stuff and everybody having the availability of those numbers. I suspect that will diminish, but who knows?
It'll be crazy. There's definitely going to be a lot of different stuff turning over, so we'll see how it is.
Yeah, well, good. Well, last thing, just kind of on pro day, you kind of hit it a little bit, but just well, I guess I can say it instead of deferring to you, but like you said, everybody just keep their prayers up for all these guys, give them their best opportunity, obviously, especially for Billy, but really special group of guys that have done amazing things here in Boise on and off the field. And I really think big things are coming for a bunch of these guys. I hope it's in the NFL. Hope it's in pro football. But one thing I know is if it's not, these guys will all be successful in whatever they choose to do long term. And let's not leave out, some of our contributing members here like Riley Smith and DJ Schramm and some of those guys that chose not to participate because they kind of know where their future lies. Dimitri Washington, let's not leave those guys out and forget about them. Those guys have been huge, true Broncos, great performance on the field and just moving on to bigger and better things off the field. So appreciate you guys. And anything to add to that, go ahead. But
Yeah.
other than that, we'll defer to questions, and then we'll get on to the next topic.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, like those guys you said, like Dimitri and DJ. I mean, it's tough because I know if a lot of it is how healthy you are after your last season and playing 6 years and as much football as you do throughout those times. It's like, I know for us three specifically, we had to kind of hang up the cleats because we had surgeries and stuff that wouldn't allow us to be able to go out there, because that's definitely the goal. And that was my dream to do. So it does sting a little not being able to do it. And I know these other guys feel the same way. And to answer Kurt's question, I mean, I thought about it, but I'm just kind of at the point where my body's like, let's move on to something else. And I'm kind of content with that. But, you know, I love football. I want to be around it any way I can. And opportunities like this keep me closer. And shout out to those other guys like Dimitri and DJ. And they're both in Boise too, because they want to be around Boise State football as well. So even though we don't get to continue to pursue our football career like we really dreamed of, it opened up so many doors for us in the long run. And more importantly, football taught us so many things that I wouldn't have learned if I didn't go to Boise State and fight through all the adversity that we had to fight through. But those guys that did make it to Pro Day, like you said, a lot of respect to them. I know all the training that they had to go through, and it's difficult. It's 4 months of grinding.
Yeah.
And they did a great job. So I'm fired up for them. But Pro Day was awesome, and I'm excited to see some more new Broncos coming up during this spring ball and this next season, and see who's going to be out there next year. Awesome.
Well, yeah, and you kind of hit on it right there a little bit about just kind of where we're at in spring break here. So last week, Broncos practiced for a week, took a week off for spring break, back at it. Really till April 20th, the spring ball game. So 1 week before, 4 weeks after, take that break in the middle. That might seem a little weird to people. Like, you know, obviously during the season, you're kind of constant. You might get a bye week, but we both know bye week really just means more practices, right? So
yeah, it's like
spring break is truly a week off.
Oh yeah.
And you know, kind of take everybody through that, like what it's like to take a week off in the middle of it and then come back and know you've still got stuff to do.
Right. It's I mean, because it's kind of a midpoint between all of the winter workouts, and then you have 1 week of spring ball, and then that's when you really need the break, because winter workouts, like we talked about last show, they're tough. I mean, that's where the Boise State football brand comes into play, because you're doing 5 a.m. workouts and you're rolling around in the snow on the blue, and so there's a lot that goes into that, and your bodies take a lot of wear and tear. I mean,
yeah, so it's not like you just practice for a week and then you take a week off.
Right.
It's really more like you've been going for probably 8 weeks.
Definitely.
And then take a week off.
Yeah. And I like how they do it too, because it is good to get 1 week of that football in, because I feel personally, for me, if we had that week before spring ball, then I feel like it would be more detrimental, because you don't really get to take a break. Like we talked about how much anxiety is before spring ball. That whole week I would be not thinking about anything other than football, and that just kind of leads to burning out. So when you take that 1 week off, it's such a nice break. And a lot of the times you're going on trips with the football guys, and it's building that brotherhood. And like, I know for me, I mean, even this spring break, I'm trying to hold on to college as long as possible. I took my spring break with the football guys down to Arizona.
Don't ever give it up, because it's not coming back later.
I'm trying as hard as I can. But yeah, a bunch of the football guys went down to Arizona, just had a great trip. And the guys are smart too. They know that they're coming back to 3 more weeks of spring ball. So everybody's being smart. Yeah, you're working out on your own. You're diving in, studying the playbook. But especially for some of the older guys that have been in the system for so long, it's nice to take a step back, put things into perspective. And for me personally, the best part was when I was a freshman and I was so homesick, was being able to go back to Florida. I was like, finally a week where I can just get back and see the family, because going through all that that hard work when you're 18 years old, and being away from home is tough. So it's nice to be able to build the brotherhood, see your family, and then continue to progress your game off the field and kind of gain steps, even though you don't have practice.
Well, if I remember right, like you used to take some guys home with you on spring break, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Everybody was trying to get some sun.
Yeah.
So we had good trips, but it was awesome. It's great. Like guys like Billy Bowens and shout out Cole Ramsayer, old tight end as well, bringing some of those guys home and just showing them what it was like out here, and just introducing them to the family and just building that brotherhood.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Mike's got a question there, how off-season conditioning was at home in Jacksonville. I'm going to help you on this and say there wasn't a lot of time home in Jacksonville, right?
Yeah. I'd say the most training I did in Jacksonville was probably during that May break after spring ball, before
and COVID, right? That was the other.
And COVID, yeah, COVID. That was the longest.
But that was a little bit different because we were using anything that you had in the house.
Anything. I was doing push-ups with my dogs on my back. We made it interesting, but yeah, it was I'd say the biggest difference was the humidity. I would come home and I was like, all right, I miss Boise. This is too hot for me. But no, it was nice. I would come home and I remember sending videos to you. My dad would go out and he would hold the medicine ball and I would go block him. And I mean, he wasn't as big as Ahmed and some of those 275-pound guys I was blocking. So it was nice to push him around a little bit.
Some interesting pictures and video exchanges. And there's that. I think Bates was doing curls with his dog Winston. And,
yep. That was a
saw
fun
JB. Time. Shout out to JB.
Oh, yeah.
Saw him Friday. Met his daughter Georgia, and
wild.
Yeah, it was freaking awesome.
That's
Keegan, awesome. Tremendous family. He's got a bright future in front of him.
Absolutely.
He was a little bummed that he wasn't going to be around for pro day or the spring game, because they got a new coaching staff there, and John, being the smart guy he is, like, hey, maybe I should be around there. So,
yeah, smart on his part.
But
he helped me out a lot too when we would go home in May, because the good thing about Boise was they would make a whole workout list and you would just stay on schedule with that. And then I remember you would have us do kind of a progression with blocking and route running, and we would do circuits every week on our own. And so that was cool. And Bates was big on that. He held us accountable, especially during COVID, and was like, make sure you're getting your work in. And so that's the biggest thing. When you're home, it's so easy to slip into vacation mode, but you got to stay on the grind, and it's nice to have a little bit of both. My being able to go work out and then go hit the beach wasn't too bad. So I definitely enjoyed being home for low. Yes,
Kurt was looking for a tight end pass with Riley.
Hey, I was looking for it for 5 years.
Times.
So that's what the interesting thing, and I know that you know this. You put in a play like that, and we've had it multiple ways. We had one where Hank pitched it to Avery Williams, Avery pitched it to me, and I threw it back to Hank. And we had a bunch of different versions of me throwing the ball. But when it comes to plays, and we can dive into this deeper another time, but it has to be on a certain yard line, certain down, certain point of the game. So there's a lot of factors.
I mean,
you
think something like that is like really stupid, but
I know it's crazy because I'm just on the sideline with my fingers crossed, hoping we make it to that certain point on the field where we can call it. But for the fans, we definitely had it in. It just didn't work out. But it was fun catching them. And then Chase Penry actually threw one to me last year.
Yeah,
it was the reverse, but hey, I'll take
it.
That
was awesome. Heck,
it was awesome.
Yeah, we need a little bit more of that. So
we do a little razzle dazzle. I love it. That fires me up. So I don't think Matt Lauder can throw the ball, but maybe we'll warm the wing up and we'll see some of that action later.
Yeah, we'll let's not divulge any state secrets. So as far as we know, he can throw it.
We'll see. Yeah, no,
yes. I think we all know the answer to that. But anyway, so. All right, let's talk a little bit, practice coming back. I think Monday, those guys, I'm assuming, just had a general workout. I know Tuesday was really their first practice. Kind of talk about that through a player's mindset. And then Thursday today, and then they'll scrimmage on Saturday, I would think.
Yeah, so when we get back, it's big jumping back into the installs, and when you take that week off, I mean, learning all those plays is extremely difficult, especially for the young guys. So you kind of start back slow again, kind of get the ball rolling, and then by the end of this week, it should be more efficient, and guys are able to run the plays seamlessly for the most part, and that's when you start bumping up the competition, and you're going against the defense. The ones are going against the ones, and that's when practice starts getting really fun, and how spring ball starts getting really that iron sharpens iron, because all the guys kind of know exactly what they need to do, and they're going out and they're executing, and the coaches make a lot of fun games, like the 7-on-7 challenges down in the red zone, lockout. So there's a lot of different ways that the coaches implement competition at practice. And so these next few weeks, it leads up that competition into the scrimmages on the weekends, and then finally the spring game. But the scrimmages are extremely important, because you try to, at least personally, and I know a lot of the other guys do too, they try to build it up in their head to where it's a game. Like, I would put myself in the shoes where I'm like, all right, this is a meaningful game, because you got to go out and you got to perform, and that's what makes you better. If you go out and just treat it like another practice, then it's not as beneficial.
You miss the point, right?
Yeah,
you're not preparing yourself for the season at that point.
For sure.
Like, you have to almost trick yourself into thinking like it's game day. And you know, we try and do a lot of things as coaches to like make it like game day. You know, from the morning, or you know, whenever it is, like the same type of schedule, all that stuff. And so it should benefit the young guys, so that when they get in those situations in the fall, like, they can at least think like, okay, I've done this before. And it should benefit the old guys, because they should be able to think like, all right, this is real now. I'm not just out here working on something.
For
you know,
sure.
I'm trying to get better and win.
Yes, sir.
And you know, there's the flip side as coaches, like, you know, okay, hey, if they were doing this, like if we had our whole game plan in, we would probably do this, but we haven't even kind of practiced that. So, hey, let's just make sure we're really good at our fundamentals and doing that stuff. And, you know, I don't know if they're scrimmaging for sure this week, or if they're waiting.
I think it's next Saturday.
Yeah, I kind of suspected that, but there's probably a you know, a live period or two, or maybe not live, but more or less scrimmage. But what they're going to really want to see at that point is just like, who's executing the fundamentals, who understands the situation, who understands how to get their feet in the ground, how to use their base, how to use their hands, those sort of things. And that'll be probably the focus for the next week. And then really even that first scrimmage, I think, is way more about that. Like, it's not about plays and whatever. The second scrimmage, typically a little bit more about, hey, we want to see if this works.
Right. Yeah.
And then the last scrimmage, pure boredom.
For sure. And to your point too, like, we do all the individual drills where we're hitting the sleds, or the receivers are running their routes, and you're working on those key fundamentals, but you're working them in a controlled environment. And like, we would have the circuits where you're just hitting the sled, and then you're going against the defense one-on-one, and then you go into where you're running plays in those the live or team periods, and you're going head to head, and you have to know the situation, know the play, and see if you can carry over those fundamentals in the heat of the moment. And that's the biggest thing, because I remember when I was
one of the big things, right? Like, guys typically, when the moment gets bigger, your fundamentals go away.
100%.
And that's one of those things you try and grow through, and like, understand, like, no, my fundamentals will take me through this, and it'll help me in the biggest moment of the biggest game. If I execute my fundamentals, I'll be fine. But if I just think like, oh, I got to do something different, then something bad usually happens.
100%. I've been there. So a lot.
We all have.
Yeah, because when you're a
Everybody
young
has.
guy, you're like, I'm doing this perfectly. Like I got the hang of this, and then you go and you're doing live reps, and you're like, they all just went downhill. But that's when you start, like you said, you're growing, you're falling forward, and then the next time it gets to the point where you don't even have to think about your fundamentals, and they just come naturally, and you can think of so many different aspects of the game. And those last 2 or 3 years of my career is where what helped me a lot is I could focus on, all right, what's the defense doing? What look is this? Instead of thinking of, okay, how am I going to make this first step compared to the younger guys?
That's the biggest growth, right? When you understand like why you do it, and then what my toolbox is and how to beat that guy using different things based on what he's doing.
Exactly.
You know, like maybe we've always cut a guy in this deal. Like,
well,
I don't need to cut him because he's worried about that. I'm going to hit him in the mouth, you know, whatever.
Definitely.
Or this guy's going to try and kill me. I better cut him.
Yeah.
You know?
That was my go-to move. I'm sad they took that out.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes in spring ball that gets lost because you can't use your entire toolbox.
You can't. The defense is lucky for that. To answer BJ's question, how many times will Ashton Genty get tackled between
if
now?
One, that surprises me.
That's yes. I'm completely on board with that. He should they should put flags on him and make it flag football out there, because he does not need to be getting tackled.
And you know, that really is a great question, not only like for the numerical answer or whatever, but I mean, you have a guy like him getting tackled is probably not going to help him advance his skill set.
Yeah.
You know, somebody could argue like, well, what about his ball security and whatever? They'll work that.
And there's a lot of ways to simulate that too. Like we have the big medicine balls out there where you have to roll on your back off of them, and they have a bunch of different ways where they're hitting you with bags, and so that it is simulated getting tackled and how to work through different movements like that without the stress of possibly getting injured.
But it's just not worth it for a guy that's been, you know, however many times he's been touched the ball minus how many touchdowns he has. He's probably been tackled the rest of them. Like, you know, you reach a point of diminishing returns. It's just not worth it. So I would expect very few.
I agree.
And on top of that, he's hard to tackle anyway. So, you know, I mean, even if they said they were going to tackle him, that might not happen.
Yeah. That's very true.
Yeah. Oh, you got another question?
Oh, I appreciate it, Sky.
Yeah.
Riley and Matt, unsung heroes for the Genty Helani. I appreciate that. I mean,
hey, all the tight ends, and that's
all the tight ends
been going back for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody wants to see. You know, it's funny. I was talking with John JB the other day, and even in the NFL, you know, he probably doesn't catch as many balls as he could, and you know, people can bitch that they didn't throw him to him enough, or he didn't catch it, or whatever. But you know, they take John and they put him on Joey Bosa and be like, hey, you got him. Like nobody else in the NFL do they do that with.
Yeah. It's
you know,
elite.
So here's a guy that like he's capable of blocking the elite defensive ends in the NFL. Well, if he's blocking him, he ain't going to catch the ball.
Yeah.
And you know, I think that's just something that's happened over time at Boise State. Like we've had really good receivers, so it hasn't been maybe a necessity, and our guys have been damn good at blocking, whether it's in pass protection, run game, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes that happens. And it's not because they're not capable of, we just haven't done it, you know, maybe it hadn't been a priority enough, or, you know, whatever, but it just hadn't worked out that way. And it's not like we've been bad on offense. So it's hard to second guess any of that.
For sure. And it's cool. It's cool buying into it too. I mean, when I switched from quarterback to tight end, I was used to touching the ball every single play. And then when I went to tight end, there was times where, like he said, like the unsung hero, or you're kind of in the trenches doing the dirty work. But buying into that is one of the coolest feelings. Like we talk about O-line pride with the O-line and all that they do, and it's unbelievable.
You kind of become part of that group, right?
You do, and it's fun. You're with the boys, and like you'll see a lot of last year. Me and Matt, it'll be Ashton scoring a touchdown, and me and Matt and the O-linemen are just so fired up just that we completed our block, and we would be. And it's been me and Matt had a couple double teams where we put a dude on his back, and we were just so fired up just to be able to be a part of the play and help our guys score a touchdown. It's truly amazing being able to buy into that and feel that type of sense of accomplishment when you see guys like Ashton and George and different players making big plays, and you had something to do with it is awesome.
Yeah. Sky was right. That was huge.
That was
7 or 8 yards downfield. I mean, that was a huge deal.
That's what we call teach tape. That was a teach tape block. That will be studied at Boise State for a long time.
Absolutely.
Hank Patterson. I don't know if you know Hank Patterson, Coach Rid, but
I do not.
So when I started doing the Lithia Ford
the gym.
Here we go.
Old stomping grounds.
Yes, I do.
Hank Patterson, fly fishing guide.
Riley Smith, tight end.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Hey, you wouldn't happen to be the kicker?
No, tight end.
Again, thank you. I'm looking for a kicker for Lithia Ford's fall kickoff sale. But you're not the kicker.
No.
Yeah. Nah, the kicker's probably taller and in a lot better shape. So, okay. What position do you play?
Tight end.
Squats. Yeah, try it sometime.
Dude, he was awesome to work with. He made it so easy because obviously I'm not the greatest actor.
I don't know. That's a pretty good debut.
But it was fun. He took all the energy and just made it a good vibe out there. And he had a lot of great dad jokes, and the writers and everybody. It was unbelievable to work with them, and he's hilarious. So that would be fun to do another commercial with him because he was a good time to be around for sure.
Well, maybe we can work that out.
That would be awesome. And with the truck from Lithia. I sadly had to give that back. That was hard parting ways with that, but yeah, Lithia Ford.
It did get passed on to another tight end, right? Maybe not the exact truck, but at least the role.
But we got a pipeline going. We got 3 Boise State football guys over at Lithia Ford now, and Jim Sturk, the owner over there, does an awesome job. And me and him got super tight too, and through the whole process, and just like we talked about with the NIL, and we can get into that another time, but just the relationships you build within the community. And so it was tough giving it back, but I ended up just recently buying a truck from him. And so
well, hopefully he got you a good deal. I'm sure
he said he would have killed me.
Ford, they do an awesome job over there.
Dude, they awesome job. Shout out Lithia Ford. But yeah, it's good to see the other boys in the trucks, and I'm glad I could get one from them as well and keep it going. Yeah, the Georgia Southern game, that'll be awesome because that's definitely close to home, and I'm sure I can finally get some of my Florida friends to go up to a Boise State game and show them what they've been missing. So
you can enjoy it with them instead of them just having to watch.
Absolutely. I know, because that's what was hard with the season. It was hard to get people to come out to games because our schedule is so busy. We get about an hour of family time.
Your first game you really played in was Florida State, right?
Yeah. And so that was cool because our plane got delayed. Remember that?
Actually see anybody.
Yeah. So it's tough for people to come visit. So now it'll be a good time to get people out, and I can tailgate with them and watch the game and spend some time. So that'll be pretty cool. So I definitely want to make it out to that game, and hopefully some of my friends can come out.
I would say this, like to Bronco Nation, that's a great road trip, right? I mean, flying to Savannah. You can fly really probably in anywhere over there, but probably want to stay in Savannah, take the drive out there. Their home record, not as good as the Blue, but they've had a ton of success there. Great environment. Go watch the Broncos win, drive back to Savannah, enjoy a little bit of some Southern hospitality down there, and then turn around, fly home.
Absolutely. Chev Daddy said, Riley, what do you think of the future of the tight end position? Man, it fires me up. I mean,
I feel like that's probably one of the tight ends actually.
it probably is. That might be Luke Voorhees asking that question. But but those guys are awesome. I mean, they were a younger group. I was kind of the old head of the group last year, and kind of helping Matt become the leader of the group this year. And they're just all bought in. Like, I don't have to ask them to do much. If I'm saying I'm going to watch film at 5, they're going to show up. Like, they want to get the work done, and they're a detail oriented group. Like, we would do walkthroughs on our own so many times, whether it's the night before the game or throughout the week or before the spring ball scrimmages, and they're all for it. They're all bought in, even the young guys, and a lot of great athletes and good blockers too.
Yeah,
They're
tremendous talent.
Oh, a lot of talent.
Guys, yeah, I would say the future is very bright there.
Very bright.
Yeah.
And they're not scared to hit someone either. So
no, not
it'll
at all.
be, and playmakers too. Like, you saw Matt Lauder last year turn it on, and he's going to be good once he just gets that going. He's going to be awesome to see this year, and a bunch of those other guys playing. It's going to be fun to watch that group just continue to blossom into what we know they can do.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'll let you hit this one, Coach Rid.
Ooh, well, let's say Wazoo and Oregon State, and let's say officially enter the Mountain West.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, no, I think that's a good question. Those obviously going to be two good teams. I think both of them very familiar with Boise State. Oregon State obviously played them a ton, played Washington State maybe a little bit less. So those guys know what they're getting into. Washington State's got Coach Schmedding over there, and some other guys with some Boise State ties. So I think they know what they're getting into, but not competing for the conference title. I like Boise State's chances in those games. Gosh, in the conference, man. Yeah, I mean, Boise State's my favorite. I'm sure Fresno State, with Coach Tedford back, will be good. I think San Diego State, obviously new coaches there. That'll be an interesting deal because I don't know that they truly understand the rivalry that I think kind of developed over the years there. So that'll be interesting. But I think those guys will do a good job. Air Force and Wyoming are always scary.
Always. It's always hard-nosed football games. It's tough.
Yeah.
But we look forward to those games for sure, because it's just two battled out, tough cultures going at it. And so it's always fun to play those games. And they always matter too. I can't remember an Air Force game that didn't matter when we played it. It's always high stakes, and it's fun to it's definitely fun, and heavy run game. So it's always interesting.
I think Colorado State too, showing signs of growth, young quarterback. If I was going to say just off the top of my head, I would probably think Colorado State and Fresno State would be maybe the scariest teams in the conference. I think Wazoo and Oregon State are huge games. Those probably have more of an effect on national ranking type stuff more than anything else. But I like, I mean, I don't see anybody the Broncos should be scared of next year.
Yeah.
And that includes Oregon. So
I agree. I mean, it's good because the Mountain West is even since I've been there, just the skill level and the games are just getting better and better. Like, every time we play, every conference game, it's never a given win. I haven't felt that way in a long time.
You always know you're going to get somebody's best, right?
Always going to get someone's best, and we talk about that a lot too. And they want to.
And shoot, I left out UNLV. I mean, where they're at, and I would assume they'll continue to grow and improve.
Definitely.
And they'll be tough. So
they'll try to get some revenge for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't leave them out. I said, at the end of the day, that's everybody's toughest game.
100%. They have it circled for sure.
Yeah. Even New Mexico, they might not be a great team, but Bronco Mendenhall, obviously a lot of tough games with BYU when he was the head coach, and so he'll have those guys ready to play.
Yeah.
That would be yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to read the what's a trip. I know what your answer is, Riley. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say the Florida Gators, baby. That was
yeah.
You knew it? Yeah. That's my diehard team growing up. All my family's from there. My brother goes to college there right now. I wish we got to play them in basketball in March Madness. That would have been an awesome game. I would have just rooted for the blue and orange team and came away a victory. But that would be fun because the Swamp is they have a lot of pride with their home games too. Like playing in the Swamp is like playing on the blue. Like you go in there and you feel it. And so seeing those guys go in and try to take over the Swamp, it would obviously be a fun trip, but I think it would be just an awesome game to play. And those SEC fields are beautiful too. So that would be pretty sick to go down there and beat up on some other orange and blue team.
Yeah, I don't have one that we haven't played. Florida State was awesome. Getting to play Ole Miss in the kickoff classic. Maybe at Ohio State or Michigan.
Yeah, big house would be sweet.
I grew up in Iowa City, Iowa, so maybe going to Iowa and getting the Kinnick wave and
that would be awesome.
All that stuff. But I think
Kansas too.
Yeah, we can make the wheat wave, BJ. You can demonstrate that later.
Right.
I've played there. It wasn't nearly as impressive probably as it is now. And we lost. So but no, Boise State's not afraid to play anywhere. And I think any one of those big name teams would be a freaking awesome game. But I'd love to see those teams come play on the blue too.
I agree. I agree because that's difficult for teams to come in and the blue turf. Even I know people out here in Florida, they're intimidated. They're just going out there, and then now with all the sweet upgrades we got,
no doubt,
it just makes it best. Like I was talking to some of the guys, like our favorite songs is "Friends in Low Places" now, and I think it's going to be our favorite forever. That's probably one of the coolest traditions we do, and everybody that comes to visit, they're like, "Dude, this is legit." Not a lot of
no doubt, especially with the light show now. Our environment is second to none.
I agree. They did a great job.
Yeah, it's awesome, and shout out to Jeremiah and the crew.
Definitely.
Those guys have done a phenomenal job, really upgrading the game day experience. And they continue to make improvements like week to week, not just year over year. Like they're like, okay, that wasn't great. Let's fix it. And the next week you show up and it's better. And they've just been phenomenal. So I would expect to continue to see that. And I just love to see quality opponents continuing to show up. And it doesn't matter if it's West Coast, East Coast, Midwest, whatever, whoever it is. I know the Broncos will show up, be ready to play wherever it is. So
definitely.
I did see the question popped up again there, but I'll defer to you on this, Riley, because as coaches, it's just kind of like, hey, wherever it is, we got to show up and play.
Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of on that same wave too, but I think, it is an advantage and being able to play at your home stadium. It was cool to play at UNLV. That was probably the only other place I would have rather played than on the blue. But
I would agree with that, right? In the Mountain West Conference. Maybe if SoFi was a reason or whatever, but probably in the Mountain West. You either want to play a home game or play at Allegiant, I would assume.
For sure. But I think it adds a good advantage. And if you're in that number one spot, it's so different with the new way our system is in our conference. But I think if you're that number one spot, you deserve to have the home game. And then when you win, you can party in your city. So I think I think being able to have that
Colt joined in the show.
Come on, Colt. He misses me. That's my roommate. I'll be back soon, buddy. But yeah, I think having that advantage and earning it throughout the year is something that I think is an advantage. So
Yeah, I agree. I mean, to me, that's what you're playing for, right? Trying to just do the best you can. So
we did travel well too. I think that was a huge part of the game. We felt all the Bronco fans right behind us, and I remember when I caught that screen pass early on, I would looked in the crowd and it was like a dream come true. Like it was mind-blowing to be in that stadium and have all those fans there. There he is. I guess that other comment wasn't Luke. There he is.
Might have been. You never know.
That's a hard question right there. I plead the fifth on that one.
Probably all of you.
Yeah, probably all of them. But here's a question from Doug Smith, another name I know. But I'll defer this to you because you have a lot more insight on this than I do, and I think this is really interesting because even as a player, you don't really know that much about what goes behind the scenes. But first of all, how many pro teams showed up to pro day? It was like 7. Was it 17 or?
Oh, I
feel like
I don't know who wasn't there.
Yeah,
I would guess. No, I would think they were all represented there.
Yeah. Okay.
To some point.
But then
I might be. There might have been one or two that didn't come. But yeah, I think basically everybody was there.
Okay, sweet. And then what happens after pro day? Because that's big. One, like it's out of the players' hands kind of at that point. I know they have agents, but from there on, kind of what's your perspective of what happened?
So typically what happens, those guys, in this case it was scouts.
Right.
This year was a little bit different year. There were no position coaches there. Those guys go back really that day. I mean, they're that diligent about it. Write the report on what happened. It kind of goes into their system, and then maybe the position coach is watching the video of it, reading the report, and they're kind of trying to come to a consensus between the area scout, maybe the regional scout, the director of scouting, the position coach, like, hey, we think this guy is the 8th running back, the 2nd tight end, the 1st O-line, whatever. And then depending on where they fall in that, they might send out, like even for a guy like George, who's kind of right on that, he'll probably have some running back coaches come out and reach out to him and like, hey, can we get together and I'm going to work you out individually and then meet with you and watch some film, talk some football, and, kind of find out where you are, maybe talk to some of the coaches or trainers. Most of the, I would say this, most of the like medical stuff, but they might not be talking to the trainers about like medical stuff. They might be talking about like, what's this guy like in the training room?
Yeah.
Is he focused? Is he trying to get better? Is he in here being a distraction? Does he treat people okay? I think that's always something that Boise State guys have really come out ahead on. When they go in there and they ask everybody in the building, like, what's this guy like to be around? That usually helps our guys, I think. I can't think anybody that's ever really hurt.
Right. Yeah.
So I was going to make a joke about somebody, but I couldn't even think who to make a joke about. So I think that's the best.
Yeah.
So
sweet. Well, awesome, guys. I think that's all the time we got.
We got one good question. The best golfer I have ever coached with. I assume this is somebody asking for a reason.
I have my answer.
Yeah, it's somebody that knows somebody. The guy that like could be like legit is Matt Miller.
Yep.
but he just doesn't play that much. But he could be a big time golfer.
And he lets you know about it too, which is frustrating.
I will tell you that, like, unexpected, Brad Bedell is. Oh yeah, he hit it a mile, and he's got a nice little short game.
Nice.
Ashley Ambrose, like,
okay,
kind of out of the woodwork. Like,
yeah,
he's not bad. Harse is pretty good.
Nice.
For another guy that doesn't play a ton.
Yeah.
Like, he's pretty good.
My own was good.
Yeah, Kane's really. I never played with Kane, but he's really good. Chenander, I think, is not bad.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of somebody sneaky good that, like, nobody would know. Brandon Crosby.
Really?
Yes.
That's awesome.
He might be the like, he's really good.
That's awesome.
Really good. Zach Hill. That might be the actual answer. Zach Hill might be.
Oh, really? I could see that. Rouse was good too.
I never played with Sean Garris.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I got to play with
Rossa, Dan Goodell, like all the kickers. Tyler Jones.
All the kickers.
Yeah,
Jonah's good. Yeah.
Why? I have no idea. I really do, but it's a long discussion. So, well, good. Well, thank you, Riley, for your time. We might have to try and find a day earlier next week, maybe, because Riley on transportation on the way back to Boise, ready to start his career in construction management.
Mm-hmm.
So we might be a day earlier next week, but if that works under the schedule. But yeah, really appreciate everybody joining, watching online, whatever. Appreciate Riley's time. Riley and I always have a good time together. So
absolutely.
But looking forward to if Coach D, he said he needed to watch this to figure something out. BJ put that out there.
Yeah.
If he watched this and spent this much time, he's dumber for it. So
that's awesome. But yeah, we definitely appreciate you guys tuning in. It means a lot to us, and we love doing it and hope that we can give you some behind the scenes of what goes on in Bronco football. And if you guys ever want to ask us more questions or give us ideas on topics that you want to hear about, then just hit us up on Twitter. You can tag us, or on Instagram, or just send them BJ's way, and we'll find a way. But keep them coming. We love helping kind of break that third wall to give you guys all the details we can, and let you guys in.
You might be able to get a couple guest appearances.
I got a good surprise guest appearance in mind, so that'll be a fun one.
Yeah.
So, but we appreciate you guys. Tune in next week. It'll be around 8 o'clock too, I think, and we'll release the day pretty shortly. So we're fired up.
Right. Thank you very much, Riley. I'll see you next week.
Yes, sir. See you next week.
Right.
Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.